um, yes. And you can also view any of the recordings on YouTube as well, on
The
Jeneth's
complete
channels.
recording, yeah.
Yeah, the complete recording. And then we'll send out the replays for this. So invite your friends, or share it if you hear some, really good content that you're like, I think my girlfriend needs to hear this, or my bestie, forward the link, flip it to them.
Please forward the link.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes, I know for me, it seemed like my best friend always knew when I needed, so more than I did. So we always share stuff like this, and it's really fun. Plus, we get to kind of bounce off each other. Well, I think we're ready.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackert, and this is the Hot Hustle
Podcast. I'm Lyanca Reyna.
And this is Kerri Hummingbird, who is joining us live in studio today.
In
Yay!
person. Woo!
So excited to have a live guest. It was funny, I hunted her down and found that she was doing an Austin fire walk, and I was like, Austin? Well, I knew that she was Central Time Zone. And then I was like, wait a second, what is this that I hear? And I was like, hey, would you want to come in our studio? And she was like, okay.
And see, now there's no excuses because you can't say that you live across the country. Now you must come walk on fire with me.
Yes,
I
yes,
know.
absolutely. Wait, so
You're gonna have to.
We'll have to plug it. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
plug it.
Yeah, okay. So I lead fire walks and kind of like Tony Robbins, except not like Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins is a wonderful human and he's well known and he's a masculine person leading a fire walk. And so there's a certain kind of energy with that. When I lead the fire walk, it's more from the feminine energy. It's more from the song and the spirit and the connection with the earth and the power of our vibration, our community spirit, the power of Mother Earth comes through, and we sing and we dance. And when we feel like walking across the fire, we walk. And so there's no like rah 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 go 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 go.
You can do it.
We don't do it.
It's not like that. It's not rah rah. It's like it's sacred. It's like, and I actually had this person who'd been to Tony Robbins. He was a guy. He'd been to Tony Robbins, and he's like, and I don't know that I can really say this, but he said, I thought fire was my mid, my
Yeah,
B
yeah, yeah.
word,
Oh, you
right?
can see. You can
Can
say
I say
it.
that?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought fire was my bitch when I was with Tony Robbins. And he said, Kerri Hummingbird, walking across the fire with you, I realized that fire is sacred, that this is actually a sacred communion with Mother Earth. It's something really beautiful from the heart, and it's divine. And you opened me up, you woke me up that it's not it's not a new mountain to climb. It's a moment to be sacred. And so that really meant a lot to me that he said that. So
Yeah.
if you want that experience, you can come to Austin, or you can pay my way to come out wherever you are and do it.
Yeah, create an experience in the Netherlands. Since we have a lot of people
I will
out
travel
there.
to the Netherlands. I actually have ancestry in the Netherlands. I would love to
Oh,
come.
fun.
Awesome. You said it was really transformative. So, is that something that, how in which, I
Like what has
Yeah.
changed?
What changes?
How has people changed from the experience?
Well, it's a transformational experience. And anyway, to walk on fire. But
Yeah.
when I do it, I bring in my shamanic healing arts. And so I call on the elements, I call on the power of the fire, I call on earth, I call on the ancestors, and I call on our divine guidance to come in and support us in transforming through the experience of the fire walk. And so people go into a trance state almost immediately, and then you're in like this dreamlike state where you're not in normal reality.
Ooh, fun.
And you're like, wow, things have just opened up. I'm aware of new aspects of myself. And you're just in this sort of dreamy world for the duration of the event. And I've had people come and tell me that I walked on fire with you 5 years ago, and my life completely changed from that moment. This was a woman that came with her 2 teenage daughters, who then, because of the transformation her mom had, because they said she came home a different person.
Wow.
And so I know that this works because I watched my mom change. I'm getting goosebumps, right?
Yeah.
And so so they came and they experienced it, and they were like, wow, Kerri Hummingbird, like, thank you for opening me to the divine. Thank you for not just the concept of the divine, but the experience of the divine,
Wow.
like in your body, knowing it's present. We're all getting goosebumps here.
Yeah,
I know.
So like it's totally in the room, and yeah, it's all
amazing.
around us. So that's the experience that people have. And I used to think, how come they don't come and do it every single month? Because I do, I was doing it every month. And it's because it's so transformative. I think that for some people, it takes a while to integrate that experience because it's almost unbelievable that it would be that way. And so it takes a while to realize the fullness of that experience to be able to come back for more.
Yeah. Well,
So-
any time that you get to kind of change your vigilant system and drop it down into your entire body, I think that causes, starts a kind of spiral to change.
Yes, once you become aware that there's something bigger than your body, you
Yeah.
can never change that awareness. And
Yeah.
that awareness keeps opening like a flower. It just keeps opening and opening and opening. And some people try to stuff it back down, but that's not the way to go. Like, keep it opening, keep it
Yeah.
expanding.
Yeah. It feels good to keep it
Yeah.
expanding too.
It's fun.
Well, we're talking today about changing the narrative and your mythic story. Talk to us a little bit about what that mythic story is.
Ooh.
Yes. So most people operate in the literal story, so, and the literal story is however they decided the story was, right? With the chain of events and the sequence of things that they realized or thought were true. And then this happened, and then I felt like this, and then I couldn't believe this. And then that happened, and then you wouldn't believe how this person did that. And then there's like this sort of like narrative that you tell.
Sure.
And it cements it in because there's this sequence of things. And then if you get lost in it, you go back and say, wait, no, this happened next. So there's like this this addiction to telling it just like you think it was. But what most people don't realize is that the whole thing is a fiction. It's not true. None of it's true.
Because it comes through your perceptions?
Because it comes through your perceptual filters. It's
Yes.
only what you thought was true at the time.
And
And then, but you keep telling it. So you're making it more real by telling it over and over and over and over and over again. And then you get more of the same in your life that you say you don't want. So I only realized this after 20 years in weekly psychotherapy session. That's all the time it took me to figure it out, like half my life so far. And when I realized what I was doing, I finally said, okay, that's why if something isn't making you feel better after a certain amount of time, you should really stop doing it. Even if everybody in the world says that's the avenue to being healthy and happy, if you're not happy after 20 years of doing it, it really isn't working. So I finally said, bogus to all that. I'm not doing that anymore. It's not working for me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the oddball and it just doesn't work for me. But I also was taking the not feeling pills for about 13 years. I had the diagnoses, labels, and all that kind of stuff, right? And I was like, is this the life I want to live? Like if I was sitting in a movie theater watching my life as it was going, I would get up and leave the theater. I would say, I don't want to be here. I don't like this story. This story sucks. And, suicidal ideation was definitely part of my journey. Like, get me out of here.
Wow.
Like, I don't like this creation. I don't like what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because last night my husband and I just did the second of the conversations about The Mastery of Love. The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
And he talks about how don't believe yourself, don't believe anyone else, don't believe me, And so I'd like you to inject that right now. Like, don't believe what I'm saying. Don't believe anything because don't even believe yourself. Don't believe your story. So after 20 years of all that and the pills and everything, I just said, I don't want to live this story. So I'm a mom at this point. I've got 2 young kids, 2 young, beautiful boys. And I realized I kind of want to leave them. I don't want to leave them without a mom. So what's my option?
Yeah.
Now I got to change. So that I have to change.
That big C word, right?
The C word. I have to change.
Yeah.
And so I have to change everything. So I kind of went like burn the whole forest down and start over again. I was like that. Kali Ma is my savior. And so I just came through, burned the whole forest down and start over. And I kept my kids, obviously, but everything else I burned. I burned the relationship. I burned the psychotherapy. I burned the pills. I burned the job I'd been doing for 20 years.
Wow.
I just took a torch to all of it. Just
Oh,
Wow.
And my family was like, what are you doing?
I bet they were.
You were
I'm
so
getting
nice
nervous.
before. You were so nice. You were such a good pleaser. You did everything we wanted. You were our scapegoat. And
Yeah.
now you're deciding not to do any of that. Oh, we don't like that.
Yeah.
So I ended up stumbling into my first teacher, who was gave me a copy of the Four Agreements. I wish I had seen that book in third grade. It would have explained why not to take it personally. So I read that book 30 times front to back. I reprogrammed my brain. Every single time I read that book, I'm like, okay, I know this is so simple when I read it. It's really hard to do it. How do I do this? The next level of my awakening was when I realized that there were forces larger than me that I could tap into that could transform everything much easier than I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I noticed, and many people maybe notice this, that when there's a conflict between you and another person and you're trying to work it out and you're having a conversation with them, it doesn't work really well. There gets to be this entrenchment, and we've seen this through the whole last few, since 2020, right?
Right.
I'm right, you're wrong.
Yes.
I'm right, you're wrong. I know I'm right because I have this data. I know I'm right because I have this experience. And it's like, you can't win. It's never going to resolve itself through the mind or through the egoic personality. It's never going to resolve itself. So I began to seek to open to say, okay, what more is possible? Because I wanted to completely radically transform my life. I didn't like the movie. I told you I wanted to get up and walk out of the theater. How can I create the life I really want? And then I started studying with Alberto Vialdo at the Four Winds. At the same time that I was studying with Heather Ashamara, Warrior Goddess Teachings, who was a protege of Don Miguel Ruiz. So I had two powerhouse teachers at the same time going through their program. I was like, give it to me. Like, give me everything. I just want to consume the shamanism buffet. Like,
I just have this vision of your hair is on fire.
I'm just like I'm coming out,
Yeah.
And I just went I'm out of here. I'm done with this whole story. I don't like any of this stuff. So I just soaked it all up. I was like, how do I do this? And at the same time, I was learning the Toltec wisdom from Heather Ashamara about you're the dreamer, you're the artist of your dream of life. Don't believe anything you think. Be the stalker, be the jaguar, hunt track yourself. Don't track everybody else. Track yourself. Hunt your consciousness. Find the places that you need to out of here. And then at the same time, I was learning also jaguar medicine from the Four Winds. I was learning about how I could shed that old skin. I was learning about how I could feed my jaguar all this stuff I didn't like. I was finding out about hummingbird medicine. And that was where I really learned about the mythic story. Because when we tell the literal story, we really believe it's true. And it's like this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened.
Especially when it was your past.
And and you recount it. It's like, well, I experienced that, and I remember how it was. I know the truth of how it was.
Right.
Do you really know? Are you sure?
Right.
Because hindsight is 2020.
Oh.
Perspective is 2020, right?
Yes.
And the more you learn and grow, the more you realize, the more you open up to the path of awareness, the more you realize, right? And the more you're like, I don't really think I knew what I was talking about back then. I'm laughing right now about my own teenagehood because I have teenagers now, and I'm just sitting here going bonk, bonk, bonk. So, this is how it goes, right?
Love this.
But the mythic story is where we open to that larger self, the larger energy, the spirit. And instead of telling, we listen. Instead of knowing, we get curious. We ask. And so we pull the oracle cards. Tell me my past, my present, and my future. What's the opportunity here?
Wow.
What story have I been living without knowing I was living it? Show me underneath the surface. And you pull the card, you see the image. Oh, that is so true. Right? And I resonate with that. What's the story I'm going to choose to wrap up that history in today so that it makes sense as part of this epic transformation I'm in the present moment towards this outcome? Oh yeah, that's what I want over here. And you get to be the one that writes that story, that connects the dots. And then as you tell it with your power of word, it starts to manifest into reality. It becomes true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I do that during hypnosis, right? Like literally, I'll go into an alpha state and sometimes even deeper than that. And I will have like start a visual of me in it, in my life. And so that's kind of how I've changed my narratives over the years. And I mean, we went from $50,000 in debt to having, you know, seven-figure business in one year. Actually, that took almost 2 years, but you know, there's the story, right? And there's the possibility. And I think that it's really cool to play that way, where you're in total lack mindset, and what does it take to actually create, you know, from a space of the unknown, right? This space of the undefined, you know, and allow the universe to give you the whispers to guide you along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about how people do change their stories. How do they change
I
their
have a
narratives?
quick question though.
Sure.
Before you go into that, what was that time frame like? Like for that? Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
curious. You know,
Chaos?
it's right. I meant the duration, but yeah, well, because right, the repurposing principle. So you create the chaos, and then it
You know,
it falls into place.
it's actually a really good question you're asking.
Yeah.
Because, you know, what we're seeking actually is probably something extremely peaceful, prosperous, beneficial, joyful, purpose-filled. You know, all the yummy good things that we all want to bring into our lives, right? That's what we seek.
full, right? Yeah.
And the process of moving from the opposite of that into that, because we're obviously living the opposite of that whenever we start this inquiry, because we're like, wait a second, this isn't what I planned on when I was 5. You know, so we're actually in this process of what I call straddling the worlds. So you're in the current reality that you already created, and it has some momentum because you created it and you were living unconsciously in it for a really long time. So it's got like a lot of momentum, and it's just heading that way. It's just trucking on right through and creating more of the same. And when you're envisioning this, your plant, it's like you're gardening, you're tilling the soil and you're planting some seeds of what you are going to grow next. Then what's happening is that you're in the process. So you're in, and we are in this collectively right now. So let's speak to this for a second. And I just need to take a sip of water so I don't have to cough. But basically, the old Piscean age is tumbling down in wreckage because it's been exposed as the false lie that it has always been. And the systems and power over, and the structures of power over, and the victimization and the weakness that we have all felt, the powerlessness, and all of the paradigms that stem from that, the greed, the control, and everything else. That is all dismantling before our eyes. It's all tumbling down into the wreckage. At the same time, there are these like new fields of new earth being planted sacredly, secretly, by groups of awake people who are dreaming the new earth into being at every single day. And so that is already being built as the old is falling away. And so if you're only aware of the old falling away, you're in a lot of fear, because you're like, the world is ending, it's Armageddon, and everything is just going like it would be like the god Kerri Hummingbird came through with her torch and said, ah, you know, like I did to my own life, right? Like, just like destroy it all, Kali Ma, you know. So, but what's actually happening is that this whole new, what happens in a forest fire, let's go there for a second, is that when a whole forest burns, what happens is that the soil actually gets re-nutrified by the fire and the composition of all the decaying materials that burst into flames. And then new seeds actually grow up in that. A whole new forest grows up. Yeah. And it's a whole new forest that's been purified by what? By fire, which is also why I lead people across the fire and walk across the fire. Fire is a purifying agent. Fire has the 3 building blocks of creation: the electric blue light of truth, the rose-colored light of compassion, and the golden light of energy. And so that flame purifies everything so that I'm getting the chills again, so that everything
me
can
too.
grow up from the new and be created anew. And we're in that process collectively now. So it looks like chaos, but chaos is only part of a pattern. If you look at chaos, and this is from Richard Rudd's material with the gene keys, if you look at the shadow of chaos, you're just looking at the one piece where everything is in friction and turmoil and while the new is being regenerated. If you looked at the whole arc of it, you would see the sacred geometry forming. But you can't see that if you're only looking
Cool.
at this slice.
Yeah.
So you're all freaked out, but actually it's perfect. It's doing exactly what it's meant to do. It's dissolving the Piscean age and it's creating space for the Aquarian age to come in. So that's where we're at. And so you being a microcosm of the macrocosm are experiencing that in your own life too. And so you got to get good at straddling the worlds. It's like, up until now, this is what I thought was true. I'm completely dismantling all of that because I realized it was all based on false lies. And I'm building something new. And the new that I'm building is here for me and for my progeny, 7 generations forward. And so I'm very consciously, intentionally creating something new called New Earth for my particular slice of heaven on earth. And so while you keep your vision on that, and then you don't, you know this is happening, but it's not your focus. Your focus is the future. Your
Gosh, I love
focus
that.
is what you're creating. And this decay is all part of the transmutation process of that future forming. So that's straddling the worlds. So we're all in that right now.
Yeah.
Every one of us.
You know, I one time in meditation, and I've heard this before, but it's more about being the chaotic element to, and chaos sounds bad for us and something that we want to run from and the unknown. But when we're that chaotic element and literally surrendered to the whispers, we are, that part of that sacred geometry, so to
Right,
speak,
right.
that just one piece where we're actually, nobody else is following the energy necessarily, or some are, and we're that chaotic element. So, I love how
I
you
felt
put that.
very
That's
liberated.
so beautiful.
When I was burning down the
Yeah.
forest, it was the most liberating time I've ever had in my life.
I can't
was so
imagine.
liberated.
You're literally the
I'm
phoenix.
just going to destroy it all. Like,
Phoenix hummingbird.
other people don't respond well. Other people don't always respond well to that, but
Well, let's work with the audience and help them change some of the narratives that they are struggling with. And I feel like any level that we're at, we all have some narrative that's going on in our life. Whether it's like a pain in your body, or it's a neurotic child that you're dealing with, or what have you. So do you want to work with the audience in helping them change their narratives?
sure thing.
So if you are on the Zoom, you simply just raise your hand. There's a raise your hand button on your dashboard in the Zoom. And also you can write in your questions. And you can also anonymously write in your questions to the host if you don't want everyone to know your question or who you are. But because we want this to be very much a haven and very much a safe space. But we also want people to get exactly what they need. And Kerri's been so sweet to bless us with her time and came into the studio, and so we can take some live callers today. So if you raise your hand, there you go.
and Kerri, set this up, and you can type in your question too. What specific question do they need to ask you to move you forward in helping them? Like, what do they need to give you exactly?
A nutshell. So not too much, like, I don't want that first this happened, then that happened, and this other thing happened, and then I don't need all of that.
Because that's the story
Because that's the story
right?
we're releasing. Although if you tell me that, I'll tell you why that's not working. But yeah, just like a nutshell, and then I might stop you if you're going into the too much detail.
Oh, that's me. I do that.
So why?
Let's see. We've got Joe, who's raised his hand. We'll take you on for just a second.
Go ahead and unmute yourself, Joe.
I am unmuting.
Great.
Hey.
I just got here a few minutes ago, but I caught the chaos thing, and that's always been a thing of mine. Chaos is a word,
Mm.
and all words have connotations that go with them, just like who defines chaos? Who defines order?
Mhm. Mhm.
Why
Mm.
don't we just drop it and let source be the one that defines what's happening? We have to make sense. As human beings, we make sense out of everything. Does it always
So,
have to make sense?
Does it have to
No.
make sense? No, I agree with you. It doesn't have to make sense. But, you know, it's like when
And I
we,
was just, the question was, can you define that from your perspective a little bit more of how that part works? Do we need the words?
Mm.
that's a
well,
really good question. So, what I'm going to offer you, Joe, is this. You don't need to make sense of it in the mind, but what you might want to consider doing is making sense of it in the body.
mm,
So, it's really more about integration. It's about integrating it into your being. Whatever the
Mm.
chaotic thing is rising up for your witnessing, maybe it's destroying something from your life, it's removing it. It might be opening up new avenues of potential that feel a little bit frightening. You've got to step into a bigger area, something that's unknown. It might be calling you forth to that. And so, in order to really um, make the most of that energy, it's to let it integrate in your body. And so, one way you can do that is through ritual and ceremony. So, one ceremony that you can do is a fire ceremony. That's a really rapid ceremony where you, in whatever way that you would do, and I offer ways in all of my books for opening sacred space. So, whatever way you would create a sacred space is how you would do it according to your belief system and your, you know, how you think of, conceive of yourself as consciousness. And then to work with that fire, that element of primal energy, right? So the electric blue light of truth, the rose colored flame of compassion, and the golden light of energy and vitality. And so you would just take this experience, maybe blow it into some burnable object like a toothpick, just like
mm.
everything you're feeling, all
Wow.
the stories, and then give it to the fire, gift it to the fire. Let the fire transmute that energy, and then you can pull it back to your centers, to your mind, you know, right thinking, to your heart, right love, and to your will center, right action. That'll help distill the energy so that you can actually get a lot more clarity in your life, because the gift frequency of chaos is innovation. So chaos is always calling us forth to innovate, to create a new, something new, right? Through the old energies that we've mulched, right? We want to birth something new, create something new. And so the fire can help you integrate what's being dissolved so that you can create something new. And when you're in the gift frequency of innovation, people like being around you. I mean, so if you're the person that's always got chaotic things happening and it's just always like this, and you know,
Well, that's
people,
havoc, more
I mean,
havoc than
havoc.
chaos, don't you think? Like
I think you
havoc
can
is
create havoc
something.
out of chaos.
Well, totally, you did. So listen for a second.
Yeah.
That so I think of it this way. When you're like, oh my God, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. My life is like blowing up in flames, crashed my car and everything has happened. I look at that as the universe giving us like, hey, you're off path. You have lost the guidance within and you've created havoc out of your brain control, right? What are your thoughts? What do you guys
I
think
was
about
gonna
that?
say, I almost view, and maybe maybe I'm not viewing this fully, but I almost view that as almost two different things. Like sometimes it can be the universe sending you that message, or it could be that you are using that for a gain of some sort, right? So you're holding on to those chaotic moments, right? My car is this, my this
That's
and this, my this
havoc,
and
though.
this.
I like
okay,
havoc.
the havoc for a reason, right? So maybe there's sympathy for you, or maybe you use it to get out of like work or whatever it is. That maybe there's a gain from that too. So it could be both sometimes too.
This is,
Yeah,
but
and
technically it's control.
there's a third option.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear the third option.
Woo!
So there, yes and yes.
Segue.
Because when I was in my havoc, like the chaos was happening, and I was in my havoc around it, like oh poor me. I was using it for oh poor me. Look at my terrible, I
Yes.
misunderstood and
That's
I'm not
hard.
appreciated and la la la, like
Yeah.
all that stuff, right? The self-pity story. And then I was in self-destruction, like I just can't take this movie anymore. And so all of that, right? And there's a third option. The third option is this, because what happened to me was that I had been going along doing both of those things, right? And then I was also not being true to myself. And I was making a lot of agreements that were false for me. And I was living out of conditioning. And I was martyring myself, right, to people. I was being the scapegoat and I was martyring myself and I was being the pleaser and I wasn't really speaking my truth and I wasn't leaning in to say like what was actually up. So what happened was life conspired to bring so much chaos, so much friction, so much external pressure to me that I had to change. I had to choose to change or die. Either way. So sometimes the chaos comes from the outer world and you're just like doing your thing that you're doing. You think you're doing the right thing or whatever, but it's actually not serving you because you're totally living conditioned. And then the outer world comes in and all this chaos comes to you that you didn't instigate. And then you're like, I didn't deserve this. I didn't do this. It wasn't me. But yet it's happening because you need to be broken out of your stuckness. You need to be broken free and liberated, which is what happened to me. I got liberated from my falseness. And I got to reveal parts of me that were trying to bust free, the parts of me that speak my truth, like you see today, the part of me that has a lot of things to say, the part of me that has an opinion, the part of me that is like, I'm strident, I'm powerful. But I was not being this before, people.
Yeah.
I was being a pleaser. I was not speaking my truth. I was, suppressing myself. I was running away from conflict. I was doing everything but stand in my place and speak what was actually going on for me. So life just came and said, no more of that, and this other side of me came out that had powerful opinions.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, one of the things that kind of has come up in me while you were talking is, the people that, know they've got this narrative and they don't know how to deal with it. For example, I think victim is a narrative, right? Where it's like, poor me, I can't do it, I don't have it, right? It kind of even goes down to worthiness, which we're talking about next with Terry Britt. And I really feel that there's these narratives around lack. There's not enough. And can we pick one of the general narratives and help with like unlocking that for the group?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Bia asked,
Can I jump back in here a second?
just
Since that
a second,
discussion,
Joe.
I have to.
Can you
Okay.
wait a minute? Because I kind of want to go through something, if that's okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm just a second. Let me just get this out first. And this brought up something with me too, that Gia said, any suggestions on what to ask my future self to create my mythic story, right?
Oh, that's a great
Like,
question.
I really feel that what came up was this asking of questions has really been my way to unlock everything, not just like real questions like, how do I change this? But these like bizarre questions that nobody really asks, like, what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to change, this, whatever it is, with total ease, right? You know, so I'd ask these questions that were just kind of open-ended. It's not looking for the universe to come back with one thing, but those questions of like energy, space, and consciousness, or what will it take, you know, those kind of questions really seem to have always moved me forward. So I felt like Gia's question around that was just beautiful, because we're creating our future self for sure.
Yeah, so that's a really excellent question, and where I would go with this is when we are focused on the anthill of our lives, there's a lot of action going on in that anthill that could take all of our attention for like a really long time. As a matter of fact, the rest of our lives, we could just stay focused on that.
Yeah.
And when we're in that, we're in the conditioned story, right? So it takes a great deal of strength and fortitude to take a step back from that anthill, trust that it's going to keep doing its thing, like without you paying attention to it. And then taking a breath, taking a moment, opening up space for something larger than your current incarnation to come forward and give you some wisdom. Because the thing is that the soul part of us is beyond time. So we are in time. We are in the conjunction of time and space. And in the Andes, they call this the Pachamama. So the Pacha is the intersection between time and space, and Mama is Mother Earth, right? So Mother Earth is the intersection between time and space. And when we're in time and space, we're in a continuum of time. So we are in a timeline, okay? So we are experiencing a timeline with our awareness. But there's not just one timeline, you guys. There's like infinite timelines possible, because every single time you make a choice, that opens up another highest destiny potential. So every choice you make contributes to the potentials that are unfolding in front of you. So your highest destiny is what you're after. If you're really playing the mythic story game, your highest destiny is the one you're going for. And you want to stay aligned with that highest destiny line. So in order to do that, you've got to continually open to, yes, what is my highest potential at the end of this particular timeline? That is my highest destiny line. Oftentimes I'll have meditations where I guide people to access their highest destiny line, and then to talk with the one that they become at the end of that highest destiny line and have a conversation. Like, what key information do I need right now in order to walk the path to become you? Like, what advice would you give me way back here 20 years before you pass that would support me to live a better life, you know, to live a more mythic life, to call forth all the things I dream of? And so when we're focused on the anthill, we forget our dreams.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about our dreams if we're focused on the anthill. We're just focused on controlling the chaos that is in that anthill. And we're trying to like make it stop or fix it, or, you know, it's a problem, or, you know, like how to control this madness. And when our focus is there, that's all we can focus on. We don't have room for dreams. So what I'm suggesting is that we turn our focus away from the anthill and we focus on the horizon. You know, we focus on what is possible. We don't like forget that the anthill is there. Obviously, we're not going to bypass that. That would be called a spiritual bypass. But what we're going to do is focus on the horizon, pull in the energetics of the highest potential, pull in the energetics of the life we really do want to live, the dream that we have in our hearts, the dream that we came as souls to incarnate, to experience in this lifetime. We don't want to forget that. That's the juice. That is soul nectar. That is the beautiful thing. We want to call that forth. And then through the lens of that, face the anthill. So because when we know where we're going and we know what the dream is, then everything's in a context. It makes sense what's going on in the anthill. Back to John's question, Jim's question. So that is what happens, okay? So when we see the anthill as the anthill, and so all we see is chaos we're trying to control. When we see it through the lens of our dream, of what we're calling into being, then the anthill, we see it through a whole different lens and perspective, Now we can start taking different actions, and we can write a different story about it. So for example, I have 3 teenagers at home. Well, actually one 24-year-old, that's my biological son, and 2 younger kids that are in high school that are, high schoolers. So let's just say that. Just everyone take a breath for me. Thank you.
I'm a high schooler too. That's learning to drive.
So my oldest son, this is like the 3rd time he's been back home. Okay. So if I'm focused on the anthill, I can be like, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. He's supposed to blah, 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 blah. And I can have my list of things, conditions that I've been taught as a mother, that if I had parented correctly, he would be doing these things, right? And I can totally get down on myself that he's not doing any of the things he's supposed to be doing by our cultural standards, right? So I can get all admired and enmeshed in that conversation and then try to fix him. Which I have tried and failed. Okay, so when I put the lens of my highest destiny line, and I remember that as a soul, I came in for New Earth. I came in to guide and help all of us come together in community, out of this separation, back into unity, where everybody has a voice and everybody has a path and everybody has a unique thumbprint and everybody's taking their soul journey, and where it's all perfect just the way it is, and we're all learning our lessons side by side, not taking it personally what anyone else is doing, focused on ourselves. When we focus on ourselves, we can be in community with each other. And then when I add in the dream that my son would walk by my side and be part of my community as one of the teachers, I have a whole different lens that I'm looking at what's going on. I'm looking at it from a completely different space, guys. Now I'm seeing the hand of the divine in the anthill. And I'm asking a really different question, which is, what support in this moment would actually help the alchemy that my son is going through towards our common objective that we lead this community together? What can I actually provide? And what am I learning as a facilitator through his engagement with me, because he's in my program right now, through his engagement with me in this program as a student with other students? What do I need to learn through this relationship that will help me in every other relationship?
Wow.
And the answer is boundaries. What? Like, I've been tested on it already. Like, I've had people want to tell me stuff and I'm like, that's not, thank you. And that's not that's his. So you can talk to him about that. So it's like, when you look at things like that, it puts a different lens on everything. And it basically shows you that life is totally conspiring to bring your dreams, your soul dreams into fruition. And this is the way you must walk through to manifest it. And yes, it's going to include some discomfort. Absolutely. It's going to include challenges, initiations, and discomfort.
I mean, like right now, I feel like doing all these cartwheels. I'm like, woo, yes, I'm
on track.
And then I look out, like, out of the space that you've created here for us. And I'm like, oh, sometimes like life just comes and I forget.
We forget.
And how do you stay in that? How do you continue to bring it back? Just in everyday practice.
Firewalks.
Hey.
Tobacco, lots of tobacco. So like, you asked me a good question. So I told you I have a house full of teenagers and young people. And you know what they go through. So,
oh my gosh.
So it creates a kind of group think, so anywhere where people are gathered, and this, you've heard like the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yes.
Well, 3 of those people for me are young people. So I'm just like, I'm in trouble. So I like put myself around other people. So I have other communities that I engage in, right?
Yes.
So I keep myself around other high vibrational people. I do daily practice. So I have communities that I do daily practice with, and I also do daily practice on myself. So I open sacred space every morning. I don't fail at that. I open sacred space. I light all my altars. I have an altar for our community. I have an altar for these other little communities that I'm part of. I open sacred space. I pull the cards. What's the medicine today? What do I need to
I
understand?
feel like I should get out my cards.
And I just like pull the card. I look at it. I read my own little mythic story inside of me, because it's become such a part of what I do that I don't need to write it all out anymore necessarily. but I just go, okay, this I feel. And you want to feel it in your body. And it feels true. When you pull the card and you read the message, or you look at the card and the image and you go, oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we're at. And today's card for me was the Sacred Witness. So stop trying to fix it, right? You're not going to fix it. You can't fix the group think from the level of mind. The group think from the level of mind defends itself because it's the ego. It defends itself. So you got to go into the energy. You have to go into the soul and into the mythic story and into feeling it to heal it, transmute the energy, and let spirit do the unfolding, right? So I just blew tobacco all over my whole house. I blew my spirit water, which has a little bit of Pachamama in it, serpent energy for shedding that old skin, and blew that everywhere, and just brought the guides in. And now I just sit back and watch. I don't do anything.
And that's the
I don't
witness.
engage.
Yeah.
I just let them figure it out. It's not mine to fix, and people only listen when they're ready to listen. So
True.
you have to know
Yes.
when to zip it.
My next question is like, so when some people have asked me this before, and I have always had natural vision and natural desires and things like that, but I feel that, talking with some of the younger crowd, some of them actually don't feel like they have vision, right? They don't know what they want. They have like little inklings of what they might want. But what would you say to somebody that says, I talk about rehearsing your vision, like before you get up, keeping your eyes closed and taking a moment to rehearse the day that leads you to your bigger vision and things like that, right? And I've played with that lots and lots of times. But I find that with both of my kids, they don't, actually know what they want. They kind of have some things that they're trying, but they don't know. And what is your suggestion on unleashing clarity around what's next, maybe is how to put that.
Yeah.
A lot of words.
So what I do is I encourage them to, I encourage them to open sacred space, which they may or may not do. But
They don't know what the sacred space.
they see me do it. They know how to do it.
Ooh.
So
Sorry.
I open up sacred space in the house, and I create an environment in which their consciousness is already immersed inside sacred space. Now they could completely reject it if they want because they have choice, or if they're just sort of unconscious, it's going to start penetrating the dense layers. And basically I invite them to, like, this has been really a thing for my 24-year-old because he's like, I'm trying to figure out my next step.
Yeah.
So I offer a lot of grace for that because I remember when I was 24 and I had jumped into a Silicon Valley job. I had a choice between two different jobs. One that was really safe and predictable, a tech writer for this company that had been around for a while. And I was going to be basically in place in an office working on really dry material. But it was going to pay really good, And then there was another job that was marketing I was going to travel all over the place, and it was a new product and it may not work out. And it was more adventure. But at the time I chose the safe job, right? Because I was like, oh, I just want money. I just want safety. And so I chose this job, but I wasn't satisfied, I never was. And about a month after I took that job, I had met my former partner, the father of my kids, and we went off and we did mushrooms by the beach, and I'd never done mushrooms. And I had this moment of standing at the ocean. The whole ocean was rolling into me, and there was a symphony happening as it hit the rocks, and all the little stones were tinkling and making noise, and it was so beautiful. And I felt like that Maxwell Parrish drawing, painting of this woman just meeting the ocean. And I was like, I am a goddess. Oh my God, I am a goddess. And it was really hard to go back to my job after that with the popcorn ceiling. So there's these moments like that I feel like many of our youth are experiencing because they are doing mind expanding substances. Not that I think that is not the solution, I believe, but it is an avenue for opening up access to higher consciousness and unity consciousness, and having those moments of clarity of remembering who you are in truth that are so profound. and then letting that guide your life. Like
Wow.
saying that energy, I don't even know where it's taking me, but that energy, I welcome you energy to guide me to my next choice. Like, what would
I
that
like
energy
that.
do?
See, yeah,
right?
I feel like my daughter would be open to that for sure. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And I think that's why we have so much
Meditation.
plant medicine going on right now.
Right.
yeah. We actually have somebody coming on talking plant medicine.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Let's talk the 4 directions.
Yes.
Tell us
Do we
about
have an
that.
experience rather than talking about it?
Oh, let's go.
Okay. Yes.
How much time do we
Did I
have?
just
Can we
do-
just...
Yeah,
we have
let's go
time.
10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. I'll ask the guides, make it quick.
minutes.
I'll open sacred space in a deeply beautiful but quick way. So everybody just, if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes if you feel safe to do so. And if you want, like even place a hand over your heart, hand over your belly, just to comfort your body, this being that is holding your spirit, this being made of Mother Earth, holding you, holding yourself. And we welcome the South, Sachamama, Great Serpent, wrap your coils of light around us. Help us to feel loved, here, present in our bodies, connected with Mother Earth, with our home planet, feeling her love and grace coming up through the bottoms of our feet and all the way through our bodies unhindered, welcoming Mother Earth to support us. She has so much energy for us to receive, so much prosperity, so much love, so much joy, so much presence. Heaven is right here on earth, under our feet. So just welcoming Sachamama to open that up for you so you can really feel it and perceive it, and opening your heart and opening your mind, coming present. And we welcome the West. O Torongo Jaguar, protect this medicine space. Show us the way beyond this current incarnation to a larger understanding of ourselves as spirit. Help us walk across that rainbow bridge, light as a feather, leaving all that karma behind, all the heaviness, all the density. Help us to discern through the smoky mirror what's clear, what's true. Help us to see with clarity, to see the truth, to feel the truth, to know the truth, and to release the lies. Help us to become a little skeptical of ourselves and others. Skepticism always releases the false. It never releases the true. So we welcome you, Jaguar, for that presence, that awareness. Thank you, West, for releasing all that doesn't serve with ease and grace and expanding us to new potentials. We welcome the North, the place of Kerri Hummingbird. Help us access our soul self, our true soul essence, our imagination, our creativity, our inner child, the divine child, the one who creates. We welcome our ancestors who have come before us to this earth school and have much wisdom to share with us in the bones of our bodies and whispering in our ears. We welcome all the medicine lineages that support my work to say hello. And we welcome the High Council of Earth School, White Eagle, White Buffalo Calf Woman, Yahshua Ben Yosef, Guadalupe, Tenantzin, all the master teachers, the Buddha, the Christ. Call in yours. It's all one. And we welcome the North to remind us of who we are in truth and love. And I say these words from Paul Selig on behalf of us all. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am here. I am here. I am here. I am free. I have come. Behold, I make all things new. Thank you, North. And we welcome East, Eagle Condor, flying so high in the sky. Help us to fly high as well. Help us to fly high above that anthill, that drama, to see with more clarity through the eyes of soul so we can come back in with renewed enthusiasm, with compassion, with love, with grace, right into the middle of that anthill and bring so much love to it that it just comes to a standstill. We're so grateful, East, for new earth, new visions, highest destiny, giving every person their highest destiny line right now, instantaneously, awareness of it, connected with their knowing in their hearts. Thank you, East. And we welcome the earth below, Pachamama Mother Gaia. Thank you so much for this beautiful, healthy, strong bodies and minds that can heal instantly. Thank you for your constant loving support through our bodies, for holding us so sweetly. Thank you for all the allies you've gifted us for this journey in earth. We welcome all the mountain spirits, the sacred apus. We welcome all of the rocks, the stones, and the crystals that keep us clear and true with activations of higher consciousness and wisdom. We welcome all the tree nations that ground us into the earth with those mushroom mycelial networks, connecting us into Earth's consciousness, helping us to become aware that we are one. We welcome all of the elements, the earth, the water, the fire, the air, to support us on our journey, and all of the animals and the birds and the plants, all the life in the oceans, all the life in the meadows and the forests and the jungles, the canyons, the deserts, the islands, the beaches, the Arctic, all over this beautiful earth with all its biodiversity. We say yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all you give us. We are here as stewards of your beauty. We are witnessing you. We are here to support. We love you. We thank you, Mother Earth, for this gift of life. And we welcome Father Sky, Auntie Taita, Father Sun, Grandmother Moon, Mama Kia, and the Star Nations. Thank you for the sunlight, the moonlight, the starlight, the rainbow light. Thank you for all the support from all of our Star Nations in activating our Homo Luminous, our rainbow body consciousness, waking us up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we welcome God Source, Creator, Great Spirit, Divine Mother, the consciousness, the presence, the essence, Yahweh, Allah, all the names that describe the one thing going on here that we are a part of, that's inside of us, that permeates everything we see, feel, touch, smell, know, think. Everything is one. Aho. And so it is.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. Welcome.
That was so amazing.
It's interesting. Sometimes you just need to reconnect. And remember, you forget, like you forget every hour of your life.
Yeah, so you'll often see me breathing in the agua farita because that also reminds me. So I blow all kinds of prayers in there during healings. And then when I get a little lost, I'm like, like, wake me back up, please.
Yeah, there's something to that there. The pranayama, I've done that I've really dove deep into it, and I haven't really been doing it lately. But you just, when you breathe, things change. And I've got somebody that, at Soma Breath that, really talks about how breath changes your consciousness. And I think that there's something to that.
It's true.
And it doesn't matter how you breathe, but remembering to breathe in that way is your indicator. Mine, I have this process called awesomeness, and I do these touches on the body, and that's my reminder.
Yeah.
And this was kind of the first symbol that came through with that when I brought that in. It's kind of interesting. You've got your own thing. I think everybody else probably has their own thing as far as that thing that brings them back to the present moment. And if not, they should have a hypnotic suggestion to do so. I can help you with those hypnotic suggestions.
Yeah, and I love how you bring yourself back to your body.
Yes. Well, that's my way. I don't know that that's everyone's way. I had a friend who would just touch herself on the head. She'd be like, "Get back in there."
Or wiggle your toes and be all the way in, not just up
I
and down.
know, right? All the way down there. Sometimes when my head is noisy, Joe's like, "Come on down." When my head I've just got lots going on, I'm just okay, just go from here to heart. That's all you need right now. Just move on down, move that energy down.
You can even do your kegels
Oh yeah.
while breathing. at least to breathe yourself into your root chakra, which is the connection point to Mother Earth, and open it back up.
You should do that no matter what.
Yeah,
good for
because
you.
it's like, I'm doing it right now. So
I was too. Let's all do our
let's all
kegels.
kegel. But if you kegel, it's like you're opening up access to, like, you're putting attention, like anywhere you put attention, the energy flows, right?
Yeah,
So
or
if you're-
awareness.
Your awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you focus on that, like, it opens it back up. Because, yeah, we stop breathing, as women especially.
Yeah.
who I had to retrain myself, and sometimes I still catch myself holding my breath.
I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza, he
was
taught,
just gonna say that.
funny. He talks about an open focus meditation, and it takes you really out of your brain because you're putting awareness, it's like, can you put awareness in your pinky toe, your right pinky toe, right? And it's like, as soon as you do that, you have all that energy down there by that pinky toe. And he walks you through these different elements. You probably know this. Everyone probably has heard of
Well,
meditation.
maybe not
of Joe
everybody, but he
Dispenza,
does have some good meditations for sure.
where you, it's not your thinking, you're not visualizing, it is awareness. And I think that really changed me when it was like, you don't visualize it in your toe, you put awareness in your toe. And when I got that, and it actually stopped my brain from yapping, I thought that's really the key, a lot of key.
Yeah, and
awareness
you can
to
get your
breath.
attention down just by wiggling your toes too.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
like wiggling them and making because you're aware of it when you're wiggling it. So
Well, let's talk. You put together a special offer package, and it includes a session with you, an optional session. Let's go ahead and share that with everyone, and you can go ahead and go through. Tell us a little bit about this, this sacred living course.
yeah, so you guys just experienced opening sacred space, and that was a teaser.
Yeah, it was
That was
10-minute
helpful.
fast,
So gosh,
fast
if there's
10-minute teaser.
Yeah, if that's a course, then I mean, this is really gonna take them in. This is fun.
Yeah, it'll take you deep.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I was opening the sacred space for a really long time and just kind of saying it as words, but it wasn't really landing as like a knowing of a certain energetic coming in to greet me or work with me. And so when I studied with the Power Path, actually, there's something that they really have a good relationship with the four directions. And so all of a sudden it clicked. And I was able to embody a knowing of these energetics. The South is a being of light. The West is a being of light. It's an energetic. So when I was able to really embody that, I could feel the presence come in. And the more that I can feel the presence and I have a relationship, the more I can share that with everybody else, right?
Yeah,
so you just
had
witnessed
me-
it.
You had me jump in.
Yeah, like goosebumps
I could
and
feel it.
everything.
Yeah, I could, and even a little bit of sound was coming through. I was like, okay, just don't be too wild.
It's like,
But it's
yeah.
definitely it's very expansive. And you do feel, like, physically feel when you were talking and just sharing a little while ago.
Yeah, well, it's important to me to feel because mind is only a concept. But as an empath, when I can feel it, I know it's true. So I take people on journeys. So there's 4 course sessions, or each an hour long, or about 45 minutes to an hour. And there's a time of dropping in specifically with the winds of the South, for example, and having a journey with the South and asking questions and receiving input and feeling the energy is like really powerful to have that sustained interaction with the South. Because then what's happening is that because I've embodied that connection and I'm sharing it with you and you're now receiving it from me, the longer you can stay in that energy, the more you embody it yourself, the more you get the dose of it. So each one of the directions has a meditation with one of the directions and a time for you to ask questions, to drop in, to get a deeper relationship with that direction. And then the last piece of the package is a healing session with me. So I'm a shamanic healer, and 30-minute session is remarkably powerful. It doesn't take much time, and it also doesn't require a whole lot of story. So you can come in with, this basic situation is happening. You'll have about 5 minutes to share with me, what the situation is. And then we'll go into the medicine. We'll go into tobacco, open up, we start with opening the directions. You'll already feel that trance state starting to come in where the story is less important. And what's more important is the energetic under the story is the soul lesson that's actually been being learned. And we can help you arrive at that soul lesson so that you really understand what's been happening and why. Getting back to that earlier question, when you embody the healing, when the false is cleared away, the truth remains. And usually the ego can really hide from us the thing that we're actually learning through the lesson. And so the shamanic healing gets that part out of the way so you can have more comprehension of what's going on.
Wow.
So with this package, it's right now set up just for the digital, and then you'll have an optional, get a single session with Kerri here, and that will be an additional $100, and that'll be sent through the email.
Yeah.
So that we can figure
And it
that
really
out.
complements each other. Like, I know that I'm sure that you put this together for us at a very generous, pricing, and because this is your time and, time away from those teenagers, right? But really it's meant to take them, they have the digital downloads, but then they have that guidance, that session with you, and then they can utilize those downloads later, right? So it really takes, and it helps to just be together for longer. It for me, I envision, and you can tell me a little bit about it, how they work together, and how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the recordings is that you can listen to them over and over again, right?
Right.
So,
Might be something to fall asleep to.
yeah, it might. I mean,
Yeah.
south would be a good one to fall asleep to.
South.
But
Go
you can-
south.
yeah, south is very nurturing. So, yeah, I mean, the recordings are something, you're taking a journey. So you can always go back to the recording and take another journey with one of the, let's say you realize that there's a situation in your life that really needs to be released. You can go back into the journey with the West and you can say, okay, West, help me release this. I am ready to go with this. I'm ready to have this dissolve. You can listen to it again and bring that new situation. So it's kind of like you can use it however long you want. And then the session with me is a one-off, so I don't record them. Some people ask me if I record them. The reason I don't record the session is because we're going to transform you through that session.
Ooh.
So we don't want to go back to before the session. We want to stay in the transform space after the session, through the session. So we don't record it because it's already done. Like that's over, like don't hold on, let it be, and then if you want another session, you can book one. But yeah, it's really up to you.
So if they would buy the package, then is it okay for them to book several sessions at $100 each after they've purchased the package? Or would you have, okay.
Wow.
All right, you guys.
Wow.
So
You
if
can
you
buy
want
as many sessions as you want.
Choose this, yeah. And you really
Right.
got a lot of joy, you were saying, from doing sessions with people. What are some of those transformations that you've seen the results from? If
Oh,
you could
so
just
many.
I know, I knew you were going to say that.
So many. The main thing is that a lot of times what really is healing for people is that they'll kind of tell me the gist of what's going on. And then as I blow the tobacco in, I'll start to feel under the surface
yes.
of the story.
Uh-huh.
And I'll start to identify, this is what I'm feeling is this emotion or this feeling. And they're like, yes. But like they couldn't access it before because it was repressed underneath their protection mechanism. So the fact that I can just say it out loud is just by itself super healing, because it's just like, okay, this is the
It's been
energetic.
acknowledged.
Yeah. And then once you have awareness on it, part of the healing is just your awareness on it. And then we can go in and heal relationships. I mean, we can do ancestral healing. We can do past life healing. We can do inner child healing. We can go back, I do work on healing the mother wound. So if there's, difficulties with the mother figure in your life and you're having problems moving past it, I do a lot of that work with people. So it really, I like it because I never know what's coming next. It's like the greatest job, right? Because I have no idea what's going to come forward in a session. I'm just as surprised as the client. And oftentimes the messages that come through are also teaching me, because
That's
I'm
amazing.
opening to higher guidance. I'm opening to the ascended masters, and then that wisdom is coming through me. I'm the vocal piece for the high council in this
Wow.
session. So I'm just like, cool, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I have my own stuff. I'm
Sure,
human.
right.
I got my own stuff, but I also learn from these. So it's like, it's pretty cool. It's the coolest thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
I love it. Yeah, it's
So you
great.
guys, I did put the link in the chat. If you are watching this on video, the link will be above this on the website, and it will also be in the caption on YouTube. So if you're looking for the special offer package, you'll find it around this video somewhere.
Yay.
Anything else that you have to add before we wrap
Any parting
this?
words for
Let's
us?
see if there's
Parting
any parting
words.
words. The council just wants you to remember that you came here to live an epic life.
Yeah.
You came here for the potentials available at this time of total chaos, dismantling of the old, and you came here to be one of the dreamers of the new. So you came here for this challenge, and yes, it feels vulnerable, it feels transparent, it feels like I don't know what to do, I'm not sure what to create. It feels a little awkward because we don't want to create from the old. We're creating from all new energy, and it can feel a little disorienting, but just remember, keep your eye on the horizon, and remember, you came here to experience this, to have the awakening of your higher consciousness, to bring in these higher frequencies to this planet, to enter yourself and your descendants. You came in for this. And so don't squander the opportunity by focusing too much on the anthill. It's in the perfect state it needs to be in for everything to manifest in your life for the fullest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was for me too.
Latte says beautiful. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
I feel it's sort of funny, I'm just being energetically sensitive, just watching the waves of the audience, watching the waves of how we sense. Because, after you did the meditation, it was just all peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stillness.
Yeah, stillness. We need a little more stillness. You guys, thank you. We're not leaving yet. We've got Terry Britt in
Coming
about
next.
45 minutes, and me and Lyanca are gonna jabber.
Yeah, so we'll still be live. This is why we did
Yeah.
live for you today and for the next 3 weeks. So, gosh,
Yeah.
we are, again, just creating that sacred space that truly is a haven for anyone that's just willing to receive or open up and how they want to. So, hang out.